You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, the game is out, dude. It officially came out since the last time we talked on this podcast. So we got a really exciting, fun episode for you guys. It's good to be in your ears. Episode 87, and it turns out episode 1 of the podcast of the game actually being playable, which is another extremely big milestone for us. Again, guys, if you're listening to the podcast, we know there's a lot of you. Just hit the 5-star rating and review on Apple if you want to leave some kind words. We'll read them on the podcast. Bordy, you got one tonight, don't you? Potentially, I'll stall until you get it up.
I do.
Why I'm stalling, dude? Don't forget to hit the subscription button, the notification bell for more New World content like this. If you're on YouTube, on the Studio Loot channel, I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us. You know, it's a win-win, right?
It is perfect. So I do that. We have two. We have two new reviews, man. One from GWright30. It says, "Thank you for your work. Being able to get my New World information on my commute to work is very helpful." Yo, thank you, GWright. We appreciate that very much, man. Thank you for the 5-star. And we're glad we can make your commute a little bit better. Thank you, bro. The other one is from Tom Breezy. It's another 5-star review. It says, "Great pod, better host. I was really late to the New World chatter. By the time beta came out, there was so much content out, I wasn't sure what the game was about. But after listening to you guys, I have a better understanding and I'm absolutely floored for New World. Curious what you guys will put out now that the game is launched. Keep it up." Yo, thank you, Tom Breezy. We appreciate that very much as well. Thank you guys so much for the 5 stars. Those help us out tremendously in the podcasting space. So thank you guys.
Yes, for sure. And again, it is a pleasure. We have some OGs, Bordy, some people that have been with us for all 87 episodes, and now they get to play the game. So let's talk about the game in our news segment. You like how I kind of I delayed the bumper a little bit, so you got the hint, you know what I'm saying? I said new. I held it.
I was ready for it anyway, man. You didn't have to do that.
Okay, fine. Well, guys, the first piece of news is New World launched. It's a big deal. It's all over, of course, Steam and Twitch and all YouTube. I mean, it is popping off. We have some incredibly impressive numbers to share with you guys in case you're unaware how big New World was. On Steam, obviously, it's the only platform New World's currently available on. It peaked at 913,027 players, Bordy. And we thought, or I thought to myself, that's really, really high. How does it compare all time, Bordy? And dude, it turns out that New World is 4th all time of Steam releases ever.
Yeah.
Ever, Bordy.
Yeah, it's insane. I was hoping that New World would meet kind of Valheim numbers, which is about 500,000. I was kind of hoping it would hit those numbers, but I didn't know for sure. I was really thinking that we might hit like 300,000 to 400,000 concurrents, but hitting 913,000 concurrent players playing the game at once is absolutely mind blowing, dude. Like I didn't think that was going to happen. I was not expecting that at all.
Well, I don't think anybody did. Even the development team, if they're being honest, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, dude, it's been insane. The average player base since launch is around 650,000 players. And just for the record, it's 4th all time, and the top 3 are PUBG with 3 million, Counter-Strike Global Offense with 1.3, and then Dota with 2. Bordy, those 3 games are massive games in gaming history, and it's just it's impressive that, this is the first, I guess, I think we would easily consider this probably the first at least successful game that AGS has put out, dude, and it's a top 4 Steam chart game, so pretty impressive.
It is impressive, man, but I think it has to do with a lot of different factors, right? Number one, the game is just incredible. First of all, I think people that step into the world of Eternum, they understand like this game is really, really good. It is a very, very fun, very good game. But I also think the timing of this release was just, it couldn't have worked out any better for them, because we've been in an MMO drought for a really, really long time. And then, of course, there's some bad press going around for some of the other MMOs out there that are pushing people over to other games, et cetera. So it's just kind of a really, really good time. It's like a perfect storm that happened for the release of the game. And it's been an incredible experience so far. So what is your thoughts on maintaining the player base moving forward? Like, where do you think this is going to end or level out, or do you think it's going to maintain a very high player base? Like, I don't see it maintaining 650,000 concurrent players all the time. That's crazy, but maybe it will, because the game is it's awesome. It's a really, really good, but I don't know. That seems like a tall order, man. I don't know where it's going to level out or where it's going to even out at. What are your thoughts there, man?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we did some looking around before the podcast to kind of see maybe where we thought it would land. But, you know, it's really hard to say. I think one of the things that, it could be, you know, where New World kind of puts itself on a different level than other MMOs would be is that if they can continue to put out content like they did during the alpha. Now, I know that's a tall order. They're putting out massive patches of new content and new features like once a month at that point. And it's hard to do that with a live client and dealing with the issues of having a massive player base. But if they can do it like maybe at half that speed, even like every 2 months, we get a big content patch, or obviously, all of us think or believe that they've already got some sort of Halloween event planned and potential new content there. I mean, that's not even a month away, Bordy. Right. Obviously, that you would think is some sort of Halloween event might start a week early or 2 weeks early or whatever. And dude, if they can keep chaining things together in a new MMO, which I don't think has been done, because most it takes a long time to build up that repertoire of content and live events and everything like that. So if they can hit the ground running, dude, I mean, the retention of the player base is something that, I'm really interested to find out, because, here's the thing. Again, the first 4 days, and this hasn't been, I don't know how they count their numbers or whatever, and we're going to talk a little bit about the servers later, but, averaging 650,000 concurrent players is a lot of people, dude. It's a lot. Dude.
It's a tremendous amount. It's pretty crazy. I did not expect it to hit those numbers. Not to discount like how good I think the game is. That's a lofty thing to hit for an MMO these days, I think, and for New World to hit that is it's just insane, man.
Yeah, it is for sure. So this is something that I think it bears mentioning, because I think maybe some of the people have just maybe tuned into the podcast. Maybe they're interested in New World, but they are kind of a little bit leery. They look at the Steam reviews and everything like that. So this is kind of I think something important to talk about. The game got review bombed by people. Obviously, there's a lot of frustration with server issues, and the main thing is, I think, is that like us, they kind of were on the fence about how big the game was going to be, how many players they'd have at launch. They did see a little bit of a decline in player base from the closed beta to the open beta, which maybe like have them pump the brakes a tad. But they did, they launched with a lot of, a significant amount of servers, dude, and now they have I think last I saw quadrupled or even 5 times the number of servers that's available in the game. But it caused some frustration with players. Players were unable to log in on some servers. The popular servers, queue times were as long as 18 hours. So, obviously there's some concern there, from the player base. I think it's a good problem to have, but it's one that they need to fix, Bordy. So what was your take on the server issues, and obviously the kind of response of the player base to the server issues and the review bombs on Steam?
Yeah, I mean, the server issues obviously suck because whenever you have a finite time to play and you come home from work and you're really just wanting to sit down and play an MMO and you can't because the servers aren't working and you're sitting in a queue for, the entire time you're supposed to be playing the game. That's awful, right? Like, that's not a good experience for anyone, and it really sucks. As far as the reviews go, man, it's kind of like, it's not really fair, I don't think, to review the game based on that because you haven't really played the game, right?
Right.
And I think that those reviews are going to go away after a little while. Once people can actually get in the game and they do address the server issues, which I think they will address them. They are currently addressing them, or they're working on them. I just don't know how long it's going to take them to fix what's going on. And I guess it depends on how many players continue to log in and play the game. I don't know. I don't know what the popularity is going to be in the future, in the next week, the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month. I have no idea. So we'll see, but I do know they're working on it, and I think they're incredibly dedicated to making things right. The success of this game has been incredible for them, and I'm sure they want to maintain that. So I would imagine they're working night and day to solve the problem.
Yeah, and obviously they have kind of introduced a solution. It's something that I think is complicated in an MMO. They added more servers, and obviously they asked players to fill up those servers. Now that they have kind of marked some of the servers, the more popular servers, full. They're not letting people create characters over there at all. And one of the problems I think that kind of introduces in the MMO space specifically is a lot of people play these games to play with their friends, to play with other people, and separating those groups of people can be enough to potentially cause someone to not want to play anymore because they have to play solo instead of with their friends. They don't get the opportunity to group up with their, the guild that they've been running with for 10 years, or how it goes with the MMO community, especially. I feel like interpersonal relationships is the driving force between the success of a game, getting to play with other people and all that. And that's the thing, is it's very challenging, or I guess very easy to see both sides of the coin, right? So the solution initially was to create more servers and then to have people, newer players create players on the new servers, and then eventually they seem to or plan to introduce some sort of way to transfer to other servers later on. They have not kind of chiseled that out yet, but they've mentioned that solution. They've also said that they're potentially working on increasing the player cap in some servers, because I think servers like ours we're like probably anywhere between, I think when we have queues, it's like anywhere between like 400 and 1,200 people. So it's like usually about 2 hours. So I think if they were to increase the server cap across the board, maybe by 1,000 if that's possible, I think that would resolve most of the server issues or the queue issues. You may have a queue, but it's only going to be like 5 minutes at that point. So what are your takes on their proposed solutions, or do you think there's anything else they could potentially do to solve?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you would do to solve the problem. I think the proposed solutions are fine. I think increasing the server cap is fine, but that's a pretty interesting question in and of itself. Like, how much would you want to increase the server cap for this MMO? Because I think having 2,000 players on the server right now, it does feel pretty good. It feels alive enough, but it doesn't feel too crazy congested. There's parts of the map you can go where it's just not absolutely crazy. There's other parts that are real congested on kind of the hotspot areas, but you start adding in like 10,000 players on a server. I think 10,000 players on a server would be too much, man. I think it'd be absolutely insane. And I don't think that the game is really built for that. So I don't know what the cap is there. I would think maybe increasing it to 3,000 or 3,500, and that would probably be the max. What do you think about that, dude?
Yeah, I do think, and it's hard to say because we haven't really seen most of the player, but everybody's leveling right now. So everybody's pretty spread out at their own pace. They may have chosen to do gathering first or crafting first, or so I think everybody is pretty well spread out. The crafting system or the gathering system kind of helps people spread out because you can only get certain things in certain zones. So there's always going to be that particular piece of the game that helps spread out players, but we don't know what it's going to look like at this time for 2,000 or 3,000 players to be running around in Ebonscale and Reekwater. That's the time that we don't know what that's going to look like. And I guess we're going to find out eventually. But I can't imagine introducing another 1,000 people would be, detrimental to the experience of the game. But right now, I mean, it's at a good place, I'm going to say, because, we have been defending Brightwood. Our company owns Brightwood. And, dude, sometimes there's 100, 150 syndicate running around doing PvP quests inside of Brightwood.
Yeah.
And then there's, 100 Covenant or whatever doing the same thing. And dude, it works well, and the world feels alive, but there can be some issues with overpopulation as well. So it's a kind of a fine line to balance, and I'm sure they won't go up. I think their first jump may be 500 or 1,000 people, and then see how that goes, and maybe that solves the issue, Bordy, and then maybe they go from there.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I think anything to move the queue down some, at least. I mean, if you're sitting in a 2-hour queue, I think people would be okay with it if it was more like a 30-minute queue. But there's also the AFK issue that they just brought up too, with all these people just AFKing, running into the wall. I think they're trying to fix those issues. So I think if those issues got fixed, the queue probably would drop drastically, because you see that all over everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look, there's just people just trying to maintain their spot in the world so they don't get stuck in the queue again. And that is causing this big backlog of a queue, where if people wouldn't do that and they would just log out, then the queue probably wouldn't be near as bad. But anyway, they're looking at issues to fix that too. They said they have an issue in place. They tweeted that out, I think today. It was either today or yesterday. I can't remember. My days are running together. But they tweeted out that they do have an issue for the AFK running and just the people that are AFK in general, and that they feel very confident. Yeah, that they feel very confident that it's going to work really well. So I think that'll reduce the queue some too. So I think the game hasn't even been out for a week yet, man, and overall, I think the performance of the servers, once you actually get into the server, it's been probably the smoothest MMO launch I've ever taken part of ever. On every other MMO launch I've ever been a part of, it is literally unplayable. Not just a queue. I understand the queue sucks, but once you get in, you can at least play the game.
Bugs galore.
Right. Bugs galore. You can't play the game. And usually I've seen this happen with every MMO. They completely shut the servers down, and you can't even, nobody can play for 2 or 3 days, and that New World has not had those issues. So I think overall it's been a really, really good launch, man.
I don't think there's enough news or noise behind that. Yeah. The game, there's some glitches and some bugs, and I think there's some weird thing with turning in PvP quests in a certain way to get more influence. There's some things going around. The game isn't perfect, but as far as MMO launches go, I would go out on a limb, because I've been a part of a fair share of them in my lifetime. I would go out on a limb and say this is potentially the best launch. Now, now the server thing is a problem, and I think they're working on that tirelessly to get that fixed, Bordy. And I think we'll see a solution as early as next week, and then at that point, I think it's going to relieve some of the the players that maybe again are come home from work and can't get into a queue. Hopefully, they're going to get to play the game finally, and we're going to get to see more positive and potentially, I don't know, man. Maybe it'd be crazy to think. But maybe next week, after they fix the server issues, maybe there's more players in New World than ever.
I have a hard time fathoming that, man, with the success it's had so far. But maybe it is. Maybe it's going to continue to build up steam. I don't know. We still have Christmas right around the corner too, man. So people are going to be buying the game. And I have a hard time believing that we haven't seen the peak, right? I have a hard time believing that the peak hasn't already passed, but maybe not, man.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is me and you have been creating content for this game for 2 years. There were points that we were very scared that maybe the game was going to get delayed again, or maybe potentially
canceled.
Potentially in there a year ago when they're like, you know what, we need a year. It's like we might need to think about looking into another game to cover.
Yeah.
And dude, I mean, this launch has far and away blown away any expectations that we had. It's insane, dude. It's a pleasure and an honor to be part of this community. There's a lot of good people in this community that have been around since we have. And, dude, I mean, the game's good. The game is really, really good. And if you haven't tried it yet, you definitely should. And they'll get the servers fixed. And, obviously more and more people will be able to get in and play. But Bordy, dude, man, the game is out, dude. The game is out, and it is a good game. So I am a happy man, and I know you are too. Bordy. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun again this week because we've been waiting so long for this moment. So we're gonna nerd out on the podcast, Bordy, with our main topic. So, dude, we're going to talk about our first impressions of New World across the board. This is our review or whatever you want to call it. We can't give a review because we haven't played the entire game yet. I think we're both at level 36 right now. So we're, a little over halfway, but we've been through most of the zones, Bordy. So, dude, overall, playing the game, your time spent playing the game, what are your first impressions of the finished product, the launch product of New World?
Yeah, so I think it's incredible. It's been an awesome experience, man. We've obviously played a whole lot up to this point, so we've kind of seen everything, and there were times, Red, where we just weren't real sure how this game was going to turn out, to be perfectly honest. During some of the alphas, during some of the betas, there were times where we were a little bit worried and a little bit concerned about the progression of the game, about things that just didn't feel good. The game was a little bit lackluster in a lot of areas, but now that the game is out, and this has improved over time. I think even during the closed beta, open beta, it was so much better, and the game was great then too, but just from thinking back to then, whenever things were like, I don't know, it's a little shaky, to now, it's like, man, they have came through and delivered this product that is a phenomenal MMO, and it shows by the numbers that people are just playing it in droves. It's so hyped up, and it's a lot of fun. The combat's excellent. Just the experience overall has been more than I've expected, man. It's been fantastic. I will say one of the things I am still looking forward to a lot is just playing with everyone in our company. That's one thing we haven't really been able to do a lot of yet because we've been pushing levels and we had some other obligations we had to fulfill. And so the first week you and I have just been leveling a lot together, which has been, again, that's just been fun. We actually have a game to play, Red. We haven't played a game in forever together, and just hanging out, leveling, roaming around a tournament has been an incredible experience. It's been super fun. I don't really have anything negative. Like, I'm trying to think about something negative to say other than the queues. I have been having to sit in queues just like everybody else, and it does suck. That is the worst part. Everything else has been fun, man. I don't have any complaints yet. I'm sure there'll be some stuff crop up later that's like, they need to fix this, fix that. But as far as launch and my first impressions, it's been great. I've been enjoying every moment of it.
Yeah, and like you said, we aren't to the end game yet. So far so good. I don't have any complaints myself. I'll just say, again, it's just great to have a game to play. As content creators, we kind of put everything on pause, knowing that to be part of a new community and getting the opportunity to start from the ground floor was a big deal for us. And New World just felt like it was the right choice. And so we obviously, as gamers, forgoed the one thing, I guess that we enjoy most about our hobby, which is playing video games. And so, it's great to have that again. And, dude, I've had a ton of fun leveling with you, playing the game and getting to play with our company. Dude, the game is beautiful. In my chat, and I'm sure you felt this way too, we always talk about like the visuals and the audio of the game is enough for the $40 purchase, because it really is a tournament's a unique world, and you can tell a lot of talented people have invested a lot of time into making it that way, an immersive feeling world, and they've done a great job. And the combat is fun. The diversity of the weapon combinations is fun. Getting to play with your friends in an open world with no sub fee. It's a very special game. I think initially at launch, of being $40, being an MMO, and not really have any like perpetual cost or the premium sticker price of video games at $60 usually. It's just kind of a unique game, and I really do think if you're an MMO fan, that you should try New World. You should experience New World, and I guess I'm a big connoisseur of MMOs, and I like to try them all, but this one in particular I think is very important for for an MMO fan to try because it is so unique. From other MMOs.
Yeah, I'd say even if you're not an MMO fan, because this game does offer a survival style feel to it as well, because that was kind of the initial vision for the game. It shifted since then, obviously, but it still kept some of those elements. So I'd say even if you like survival games, this is not a hardcore PvP MMO, but there's still a lot there. So even if you're not a MMO player, it's still worth trying, I think, because it has a lot to offer, and I think that people would have a great time in here if they gave it a shot.
Yes, for sure. I agree with you there. And I think, dude, I really do think one of the things that always concerns you about MMOs or being an MMO fan, is there enough to do it in game, or is there enough to do on a daily basis to keep me logging in and playing with my friends on a regular basis? And that's something that we are kind of, we're waiting to see. We haven't gotten there yet. I think I would assume there are some people that have hit 60 at this point. But as far as like gearing up and then spending, time in the end game, I don't think anybody's done that yet. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what it looks like when you have 2,000 people on, because we have to through testing and being max level and everything. Sure, we can say that we've got to play some, but with this player base and having the ever changing world of Eternum as people are taking territories and grinding, for XP and gold, like that just keeps the world alive and keeps it interesting. And it'll be a unique experience to see what New World itself is like at end game. So we'll see. And I do think, and I think you feel the same way, I think we're going to hear about some new content soon, like pretty soon, man. After they get the server stuff fixed, I do think they are going to release some news about something coming up.
I think so too. I think that maybe the first thing we'll get is like some sort of Halloween event, but I do think that they have a lot of content planned for a very long time.
Yes. So, dude, I can't wait to hear more from the team. I can't wait to play more of the game, obviously. And, dude, it's just good to have the game out. It's good to be able to do an episode with you about the game that's live, that's, that we can actually say that we played New World as a launch product. And dude, it's a great time, dude. I'm glad to be here. So why don't we end it here? But first, before we do, we got a little bit of a double feature here on the Company of the Week. So, Bordy, let's go to the Company of the Week.
Is it over? Is the transition over?
Yeah, boy, it is over. Yeah.
All right, man. We have two here. So first, we're going to start off with the Everfall Logging Company. So the Everfall Logging Company, the region is NA East. Their server, it doesn't show what server they're on yet. They need to go update that. Everfall Logging Company, update your server. Language is English, focus PvE, size 51 plus. They are currently recruiting. It says, welcome to Everfall Logging Company. They're a group of sisters and brothers coming together with a common goal of having fun in New World and accomplishing big things. Many of us are coming from a World of Warcraft Classic. They've been a tight-knit community for a while, and they're going to continue to play WoW into the future with New World as well. So they're going to kind of play both of those. So if you're into those, go check them out for sure. They have a little bit more listed here as far as like the recruitment process, their siege timers, their server. Oh, here's their server. It says server Penglay. Penglai. However you say
we'd
that.
like to apologize to Everfall Logging Company for Bordy just blaming you and then about something that
it wasn't. They listed it in the description and not in the drop down. Sorry, man. I apologize. Listen, I'm sorry. There is a drop down now where you can select what server you're going to be on. That has now been incorporated. So yeah, you can go update it there. Anyway, that is Everfall Logging Company. If you guys are interested in that company, go check them out. They will be linked in the description everywhere this podcast can be found. And then we also have the Clergy. So they're in a East server. It says NA East, but then it says their server is Akumia, which is NA East or NA West. AUKUMEA. I can never say these server names, but they are a faction Covenant. English speaking, PVX is their focus, and they are currently recruiting. So it says that their main activity time slot is from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. PST. And it says that let's see here. Let me get down to their description. It says their company purpose, firstly, to have fun in a new game. They're going to be working with anyone in our company to share information, locations, builds, and help each other with quests, region control, and PvP in general. They're going to be company first, others later, mainly to make sure they have all the best time with each other that they can. And when they have time, they're going to help others outside of the company in regards of territory control. So they're going to make sure their company's taken care of first, and then they're going to help the faction after. So there you go, man. The Clergy sounds like a good company to be a part of. If your main activity time slot or the time that you can play is from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. PST, then this might be a company for you. And if you're, one of these crazy people that join the Covenant faction, I don't know why.
Well, crazy is one way to put it. That's definitely a word you could use for Covenant people. But yeah, thank you guys so much for creating your company over at New World Fans. Guys, if you're interested in advertising your company on the podcast, go over to New World Fans and create a company ad, and you too may be featured on an episode of New World to Go. We thank you guys so much. Special thank you to our Patreon. You'll see those after the video. Much love to them. Obviously, they've supported us through all of this, and we're very grateful for them. Guys, again, check out newworldfans.com. It's our website with everything New World. We have an interactive map, a builder, guides, everything you want. Bordy put up a leveling guide right before launch. It's popping off, and you guys need it. It's free. Just go check it out over at newworldfans.com. And we have tons of guides and everything over there for your needs as well. And special thank you again to you, Bordy, for showing up and for not completely, butchering all of the transitions this time. You only did one. So Bordy's batting .667, which is a pretty good batting average in the MLB for sure.
Come on, man. Yeah, I mean, I blame it on you for not letting me know the transition was over.
What am I supposed to say? That ruins the transition. If I say, Bordy, the transition's over, I ruined it myself.
Well, then I didn't know. No. I didn't know. I didn't know it was over.
Right. Okay, fine. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you on another episode of New World to Go.